Welcome to Bad Bedtime Stories, an original spooky fiction series by Kara Shea and Adam Ray. Today, we present a story so cold, so frigid, your extra blanket and wool socks just won't do. So break out the sleeping bag, the animal fur, because you're going to need them to stay alive. To listen to all Bad Bedtime Stories episodes, to shop the spookiest t-shirts, or to become an advertising partner, visit badbedtimestories.com. But for now, pull those gloves and earmuffs on tight, because you're listening to Arctic Expedition. Part 2. Andrew had lost track of the days. It seemed both immediately after they left and a lifetime ago that their journey had been upended. The day had been whitewashed and barren, like the ones before it. And at the end of a snow-logged hike ever northward, they had stopped for the night. John and Jess had slung their food and odorous items away from the tents, a blood-red rope tied between the evergreen and the camp to make it easier to find in the dark. The rest had carefully erected the trio of tents, halfway sheltered between trees that seemed to graze the sky. Unending cold and razor-tooth wind had drained enthusiasm from the others. Andrew only sunk deeper into the embrace of his fear. Every whisper of the trees and howl of the wind made him look over his shoulder, staring into the tundra that seemed to stare back. At camp, he had followed the motions, eating without tasting, preparing to bunk down next to David without really being present. Long after the camp had quieted, he had laid awake and never remembered falling asleep. He woke to screams shrill and pleading, and his blood curdled in his veins. The walls of the tent seemed to be shredded, and Andrew's immediate thought was of polar bears. In the same instant he realized David was not in the tent, the screams stopped. Fear was drowning him, filling up his insides with dread, until he could barely choke out a breath. Shaking hands finally managed to open the tent, although his eyes refused to believe what he was seeing. The camp was pristine and still. No bears in sight, no blood staining the snow. Everything his mind had imagined in the excruciating seconds before he exited the tent was nowhere to be found. The other tents were still standing, unzipped, as though his team, his friends, had only opened them moments before. His tent seemed to be the only one with any damage at all. Peering into all the tents, his heart stopped. Everyone was gone. The silence suddenly felt heavy, as though the weight of the earth had settled upon him. Turning in circles, Andrew suddenly froze, as the full force of the situation crashed into him. He was alone in the tundra, with no explanation as to where everyone had gone. It only occurred to him hours later that there had been no other footprints in the camp beyond his own. If you need more darkness, if you can't get enough creepy stories, visit badbedtimestories.com now to listen to all episodes. Identify with our Fly Anxiety hoodies and sign up to receive the latest Bad Bedtime stories right to your inbox. Until next time, listeners, sleep tight.